I've been lurking on Reddit for years, and I've read tons of "my boss didn't realize how much I actually did" stories. Never thought I'd have one of my own. But here we are. This happened about 2 years ago, and even though everything turned out fine for me, I still feel that mix of frustration and satisfaction every time I think about it. Grab a coffee. This one's long. For about 10 years, I worked as the IT administrator for a mid-sized manufacturing company. When I started, we had maybe 60 employees. The IT department was just me and an intern who left after 3 months because he realized he didn't actually like computers. So, it was me. One guy doing everything from managing servers, setting up emails, troubleshooting printers, the real villain in every IT story, cybersecurity, database backups, VPNs, and even helping the CEO's assistant install Candy Crush on her office iPad for stress relief. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. I liked my coworkers, and the management was decent. I wasn't getting rich, but I was respected. And most importantly, I knew that network inside and out. Every router, every patch panel, every little workaround that made things run faster. Half the infrastructure was built by me from scratch. For a long time, everything was stable. Smooth sailing. Until the company decided to modernize. One Monday morning, we got an email that the old director, a kind, practical man who always asked, "Can you make this work, IT guy?" was retiring. He was replaced by someone from a big city firm. Let's call him Eric. Eric was young, ambitious, with the kind of confidence only people with expensive suits and no technical knowledge seem to have. At first, I tried to be optimistic. New management could mean new investments, updated systems, maybe even an assistant for me. But from the moment he stepped in, I knew this was going to be trouble. He started with buzzwords. Everything was streamlining, synergy, optimization, and digital transformation. He called me into his office on his first week. "Eric, so, I've been reviewing the org chart, and you're the IT guy, right?" "Me, IT administrator, yes. I handle all infrastructure, security, support, backups." "Eric, right. Sounds like a lot of routine stuff. We might need to rethink how we handle IT. Maybe outsource. It's cheaper." I froze for a moment. Outsource? To whom? We had custom systems built over the years. Some ancient, some new, all tied together with scripts and configs that only I understood. I mean we could, but a lot of our setup is unique. Outsourcing would. "Eric, just something I'm considering. Efficiency, you know? Anyway, let's talk next quarter." I walked out of his office with a pit in my stomach. In the next few months, Eric made several cost-saving moves. He cut our maintenance contracts. He downsized the support budget. He replaced our proven local vendors with cheaper alternatives. He also decided to implement a brand new ERP system, something flashy and expensive, and told me I'd be assisting the consultants he hired. The consultants were clueless about our existing setup. They kept asking me how things worked. I practically did their job for them, all while Eric boasted to the board about his digital overhaul. One day, after another late night fixing their botched deployment, I heard Eric in the hallway talking to HR. "We're paying him way too much for basic IT work. There are guys on Fiverr who can do that for less." That hit me hard. I was working 12-hour days, juggling a dozen systems, keeping everything alive, and this guy thought I was a Fiverr tech. I decided right then to quietly start looking for another job. I didn't want to leave my coworkers stranded, but I could feel it coming, the optimization that would eventually cut me out. A month later, I got an invite to a departmental restructuring meeting. You know the kind. The polite email with HR in CC that already tells you what's about to happen. When I walked in, Eric was there with HR and a folder on the table. "Eric, we're restructuring to align with our new digital direction. Unfortunately, your position has been deemed redundant." Me, redundant? I literally manage all the systems you're using right now. "Eric, the consultants will handle it from now on. Thank you for your service." And that was it. 10 years, gone in a 5-minute conversation. I could have argued. I could have warned him what would happen. But honestly, I was done. I stood up, smiled, and said, Good luck, Eric. You're going to need it. Within 2 weeks, I had a new job offer from a competitor company just a few blocks away. They'd heard about me through an old colleague. Their infrastructure was growing fast, and they needed someone who knew how to scale things properly. They offered me 30% more pay, full benefits, and, get this, an assistant. My first day there, I felt lighter than I had in years. No politics, no buzzwords, just people who respected my expertise. Meanwhile, through LinkedIn updates and industry gossip, I started hearing whispers. The ERP system at my old company was falling apart. Emails were bouncing. Backups weren't working. They lost access to critical data for a full week. I didn't gloat. I didn't even comment. I just kept sipping my coffee and doing my new job. About 3 months later, I got an email. From Eric. Hey, just checking in. We've been having some issues with the ERP transition. Could you spare some time to consult with us? I almost laughed. I ignored it. A week later, another email. This time from HR. They wanted to bring me in temporarily to fix some urgent technical matters. They offered an hourly rate, less than what I was making now. I politely declined. Then came the call. The CFO, someone I actually respected, reached out personally. CFO, we're in a tough spot. The new IT firm doesn't know how to recover certain systems. We can't access our client database. It's bad. I paused for a long moment. Part of me wanted to help. I cared about the people still there. But another part of me remembered how quickly I'd been labeled redundant. So I told him the truth. I'm really sorry, but I've moved on. I'm under contract with another company now. I hope you get things sorted out. He sighed, thanked me, and hung up. Later, I learned from a friend who still worked there that things had gotten worse. Their production servers went down for almost a week. Orders were delayed, clients were furious, and the board was questioning Eric's modernization strategy. Apparently, at one point, Eric himself was in the server room trying to fix the network. He unplugged the main switch by accident. That image alone gave me enough satisfaction for a lifetime. Within a few months, the company's revenues had dropped significantly. They lost 2 major clients to, you guessed it, the competitor company I was working for now. When I heard that, I didn't celebrate. I just smiled quietly. Karma doesn't always move fast, but when it does, it's thorough. One rainy Thursday, almost a year after I'd left, I was walking to lunch when I saw a familiar face standing near my new office building. It was Eric. He looked tired. Not the confident, polished man in the fancy suit I remembered. Eric, hey. Long time no see. Me, yeah. How's the company? Eric, not great. We lost a lot of data. Systems are still unstable. I guess I underestimated how much you were doing. For a second, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Eric, listen, would you ever consider coming back? We can talk about compensation. Me, I appreciate that, but I'm happy where I am. He nodded slowly, like he already knew the answer. We shook hands, and he walked away. I went back to my office, sat down, and smiled to myself. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't anger. It was closure. Looking back, I realize I stayed in that company so long because I cared. I believed loyalty mattered. And maybe it still does, but not when it's one-sided. If there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that being irreplaceable doesn't mean people will recognize your value. Sometimes, they need to lose you to understand what you were worth. Now, every time someone in my new company thanks me for something as simple as restoring access or optimizing a process, I smile. Because I know what it's like to be taken for granted, and I know how good it feels to finally be appreciated. A few months ago, I heard Eric was pursuing other opportunities. Apparently, the board had finally lost patience after another major outage. The company is still struggling. Meanwhile, my new team just finished migrating to a modern cloud setup, something I designed from scratch. When I walked out of the server room that day, the CEO patted my shoulder and said, "You've done more for us in a year than some people do in a decade." And that, honestly, was all the revenge I ever needed.